Hey, thanks for watching Broken World. Today we are breaking down Westworld Season 3, Episode 7. And bring yourselves back online and let's begin analysis. This is Broken World. Hey guys, this is Dylan.
I'm Quin. I hold my breath every time. So I just realized, wait, why don't I mute myself so I can breathe? And it's like, oh, well, it's too late. Okay, but I'm Quin.
All right, so thanks for joining us today. Whether you're new to the show or returning, we're glad to have you guys along, and we hope that you'll join us live every Monday night. There's a new episode, so only one more Monday night next Monday for the season finale. Monday nights, 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. Please like and subscribe. Hit the little bell icon.
Ding.
So you know when we drop a new video. And after this, we'll be wrapping up our live ones for now, and we'll be working on some new content. So you'll want to hit that little bell. And don't forget to like. Even if you don't want to follow and subscribe, hit the like button. That helps out tremendously. Appreciate that so very much. And that's a huge favor to us all. And don't forget to check out the website if you get time. It's www.broken.pictures.com. So, Quinn, do you have any special notes tonight?
No. Shay, do I have any special notes? No, she's doing a puzzle.
Yeah,
okay.
That's quarantine life.
Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of, stay healthy, follow your rules, and hopefully that we get this thing on the wraps and are able to come out into the out soon. We all need it.
Back into the world, licking them rocks.
Licking rocks?
Oh no, I'm pretty sure people would do crazy things. I've been stuck in a house forever. Oh my gosh, a rock.
I haven't seen a rock in so long. All right, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay. Oh, yes. So, all those who happen to be watching at this moment in time, if you haven't left now, I'm going to give you to the count of, count down from 5. So, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you haven't left now, it's too late, because this is your spoiler alert. And also, just a little quick note, Westworld is rated for mature audiences, so anything seen or heard or even thought of during that show will probably be repeated here. You have been warned.
Yes, Westworld is mature. Is that backwards? I can't tell from here. So, yes. If you can sit through that, you can sit through this. So, all right. So in Westworld news, we've been not us personally. I mean, we're coming back next season, but yeah, there's going to be another season. Westworld has been renewed for season 4, and it is rumored to go 5 seasons. So that's a lot considering it seems to be sort of wrapping up. I mean, even though we've got one more episode this season. It seemed a couple episodes ago, it seemed like it was kind of wrapping everything up, like if taking down Rehoboam and Sirach and everything. But with only one episode left, it seems like it's not going to wrap everything up in one episode. So obviously there'll be enough to go to one more season, and it's only 8 episodes per season, so curious to see where they'll go next.
Well, yeah, they cut 2 episodes this season, and I think the reason they cut episodes is so that they could do ridiculous mess that they did in this episode and the episode prior with the chase genre. Yeah.
And from what I understand, their budget is not as big this season either.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm double checking because I'm really, is it?
I feel like...
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was 10 episodes last season. Man. Hopefully they're not pulling a Game of Thrones on us.
No.
Please don't do that. Please don't do that.
I think they're like all of HBO's shows for at least a season or two was probably feeling that Game of Thrones backlash. Like everybody's like, yeah, no, I'm not paying for this anymore.
I wonder also, since HBO Max has been on the horizon, it's coming out next month, if Warner Brothers has kind of like pulled back a little bit to kind of shuffle the money into that to get that off the ground, because there's a lot of new shows coming with that as well. I mean, just the rumor of the Friends reunion is a huge deal. I mean, like they were when Friends went off the air, they were making like $1 million an episode a piece. Like it was insane.
Except Phoebe, she was not.
Ooh, dang.
But everybody else, yeah.
All right, I want to jump in here. Also, I see that our stream health is not. It's only good. It's not excellent like it should be. If we go off, we're going to upload the episode in its entirety, either tomorrow or later this week, whenever I get a chance to. So just be warned if we go off the air. It's an internet thing. I don't know if it's because of where I live or whatever, but the nodes is what I was told only can handle so much capacity with on the bandwidth, with people being on all the time right now because of the quarantine and everything. Everybody's online. Everybody's at home watching streaming online on the computer, video gaming, all kinds of stuff. And it is overpopulating the stream, so we are getting kicked off if we use too much, and streaming tends to use a lot, so it'll try to regulate us to make room for everybody to try to make it fair or something. I don't know how they do it, but anyway, that's what I was told by the technician. So what?
You said try to make it fair, like we're in kindergarten.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, so I mean, I upgraded my speed thinking that would help, and he said that's not the problem at all. It's just traffic is crowded and there's not enough room. And if you've been using, my kid's been on internet all day, and if you've been using it all day and it sees that you're up here, then it'll kind of knock you down a little bit. So I kind of try to reset things, and hopefully it'll get us back to where we want. It's saying excellent again, so that's good news. Hopefully it'll stay up and we'll get the entire live stream in tonight. So just be warned.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Let's rate this puppy.
Well, do the intro there, sir.
What? Oh, snap. I missed the whole intro.
You're looking at a much smaller screen than normal.
I am. Episode 7, Pass Pod. A real friend is one who walks in when the rest of the world walks out.
It's meme-worthy. I mean...
Yes.
These cliche phrases.
Super.
So I know they like to have fun with the Redditors out there and kind of tease. And so maybe that's what all that's about. It's like 0 hints whatsoever when like in the description.
I think the descriptions are just nonsense words. They're like,
put like word soup.
They put words in a bowl and then draw them out. And then like, all right, let's make a sentence with these words. Mm-hmm. There we go.
Yeah, it's whatever was on their inspirational calendar that day.
Or whatever was at like you remember those when you eat a popsicle, the little things that like they say in there.
Kind of like Laffy Taffy type things.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's rate the episode.
Yeah, go right ahead. Oh wait, I'm supposed to go first on this one. I forgot.
Yeah.
We're still waiting on the season finale for The Walking Dead, so that'll you go first on that show.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna say this one 6 matrices.
What? Okay.
Yeah, I'm only gonna give it a 6.
All right.
I was kind of disappointed on where it seems to be going. It seems to be like it's almost in jump the shark territory for me. Like, I get Future World, that you're nodding to Future World, the sequel that didn't do so well, and nobody really counts as part of the Westworld, like the sequel that nobody even cares about or knows about. And I get that you're giving a nod to that and all that kind of stuff, but is on the verge of not being the same show that we signed up for. So, like, just when there was a lot of good stuff that came out of it, but yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna give it 8 EMPs. Because
yeah, if we go offline, that's what happens.
Yes.
With EMP.
She hit an EMP out of desperation. But I feel like this episode, just on the surface of it, gave a lot of nice little surprises and a nice little, like, here's a present for watching up until now, with Caleb.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's going to be a big old giant super reveal with William in the finale.
There is some interesting stuff about William that we'll get into here in a little bit.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But also, the fight scene between Maeve and Dolores was, yeah.
Yes, it was. That was a badass fight scene.
Yes.
Finally, had some damage happen. We've had bullets flying everywhere. Terminator, Dolores.
Yep.
And finally, somebody gets hurt.
Finally.
It's about time. Some consequence.
Yes. It was. I don't know. It's like they were playing.
Well, I say that, but I mean, Maeve has been killed a couple times, I guess.
She almost got this, Dolores. Like,
yeah. She killed her once.
Yep.
But she came right back. It was just like, it was more of just like an obstacle than a death, you know.
She came back with a vengeance. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it's the same to say for Dolores as well, because I mean she's a host as well,
but they still didn't want to die. Well, I think it was more of like Dolores killed Maeve the first time because, like, all right, you're in my way, you're trying to kill me, and the second time she's like, I can't let you kill me because of what I have, or just because I don't need Serac getting in my head, basically.
Yeah.
I feel like
even like Martin, Dolores Martin, when we lost him, like, we didn't really lose him. They found his pearl was still intact. So.
Yep. Which is
I mean, even from last season, Clementine, who I'm still confused, like, as to how she came back, because she was lobotomized. Like, she was used last season as a virus to take out her fellow hosts by real Charlotte. You know, it's like she was like the horseman of death. You know, as she passed by, everybody would die or whatever. You know.
Yeah.
And she was killed, but I thought we were going to get at least lobotomized Clementine back, not full Clementine. So I guess the lobotomized thing is not permanent.
I guess so.
Even though at the beginning of this season, it's a threat. So I guess they were about to do it to Maeve, or Maeve was about to do it to herself. I mean, they could have just brought her back from it. I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like real consequence.
But it doesn't seem like Clementine has her abilities, well, the abilities that they put into her anymore. I think that's why they lobotomized her, so she couldn't like, free will thinking. Now I have this power too, type of thing. So they could just control her. But I guess they. And Maeve wouldn't want anyone else to have that power too. So if she was there when she was finishing up, she would have took it away too. I feel like.
Yeah, to a certain extent. And I mean, I don't know, because Quin was always loyal to her. So, and somebody pointed out that she wasn't all the way gone either, because after she was lobotomized, she came back into the Mariposa and saw the new Quin and shed a tear, realizing that was like her old life that it was taken from her.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I don't know. It's shady. It's a gray area.
This whole show's a gray area.
But when they want it to be, like it's not really. It's been like top-notch storytelling, but it's not had like the plot flaws that this season has had. So I don't know. That's why I'm kind of like,
Which I feel like they're gonna like. I feel like there's nothing in this show that's not intentional. So if there is a plot flaw, it's there so that once we get to the last step in this part of the journey, they'll be like, okay, here's all the things. And it's like, oh.
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, season 1 was flawless. Season 2, it's pretty good. I mean, it was really good. It was really good. It wasn't flawless, but it was really good. And this one, it just seems like, I don't know, it's been after 2 years. Maybe if it would have landed right after or something, I don't know, but it seems like it's taken a dip. But, I mean, like you said, we'll see. I have to trust them and see where they're going with it. And then, I mean, we'll be back. I mean, it's still a great show either way, so still far and away better than a lot of stuff on TV right now.
Yeah. Or the other thought, they could be planting a seed for next season because they know they're like, okay, we'll probably get maybe 2 more seasons, so let's put these little threads here and string them out, and then we'll tie them back in together, and then we'll make this nice little present, and here's our series.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
The Walking David. Hey, what's up, David? He says, hey, fellas, I'm not caught up on Westworld. I just wanted to stop by and show some love. Have a great discussion. Also, I'm digging the new setup. Woo! Appreciate you, David.
Thank you.
All right, that's my buddy, my short film buddy, out there in Cali, killing it. All right. Past pawn. We talked about a little bit about it last week. What it means. It is the chess move where you take a pawn and it moves all the way across the board, and you're able to upgrade it into potentially a queen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Chess Club President could probably explain it better than I can.
Well, man, you explained it really well. That's what it is. It's not the easiest thing to do, and it's something that you kind of gotta, like, you won't be able to do it 5 moves into a game. It's gonna be kind of a game that's been going on for a minute after you lost some pieces, after you, like, it looks like, okay, the only way I can put this guy in the checkmate is if I go ahead and get myself another queen. So it's something that it takes time to get to, because especially if somebody tries to block your pawn and everything, you got to find a way to get them there so that it can realize its full potential.
Yeah. And so, like, speaking of, like, future seasons and stuff like that, Chris is not here tonight. He's got something else going on, but we were talking about the episode earlier today, and we were kind of talking about how it almost seems like Dolores has been kind of like put on the back burner, and Caleb, it seems like he might be the main character going forward, but none of us really like that idea. But when we're talking about past pawn, it's like, yeah, there might be a second queen on the board, but the queen is still the queen. Dolores is definitely the queen, and she can go any which way and move any way she wants, she's still the queen. And so that's how I choose to see it. Even though Caleb might be, he's a queen now, but.
He's a queen now. Yeah. I mean, it looks like he's a queen now, but you can make that piece any piece you want. You can turn it into another rook. You can turn it into a knight. You can turn. So it looks like he's a queen, but we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, looks on everything. And as we know in Westworld, not everything is as it seems. I'm just getting the water.
Oh, snap. He's a knight.
Could be.
I only say
Well, she told him to lead. I mean, we'll see.
We'll see. I only say that he's a knight because knights are essentially the way that they move. They're made to take out queens and trap kings.
And Maeve is another queen.
Yeah, because a queen
or Sirach the queen.
Oh man.
And Maeve is a pawn. Or Maeve
Sirach
is a bishop. I don't know. I'm so confused right now.
Sirach could be a queen, and Rehoboam is the king. Because a queen can move in any direction, but it cannot move like a knight.
That's true. That's true.
So we'll see. Season finale. Ready for it.
Yes. And that is your strategy from our local chess expert. On to you, Quinn. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so we start at the episode, and we see Musashi is in Jakarta, which is one of the diversion, or I forget what it's called. One of the things that come off of the circle. I can't talk right now. Anyways, so we knew he had changed from, I think it was Singapore before, and now he is in Jakarta. And as the episode begins, one of his pawns runs up and has a briefcase, and it is, or a case or something to that effect. He's got something, and he says, deliver it to our friend, and if you don't succeed, don't even worry about coming back. So it's pretty important. Seems like he's got something going out to Dolores. And but before he gets a little phone call from Charlotte. Yeah, so I mean, the scene with her on the phone is really interesting because they've got this really, really, really close vignette going on where you can just all you can see is her face, and everything else around her is in shadow. You can't tell where she is or where she's calling from, but you can see some scar across her face. So it does look like she has been repaired from where we last saw her at Anakin. She didn't get a suit like Vader, which would have been super cool. But yeah, so unless her body is like, I mean, she's already a half robot. So I mean, she's there. She's halfway there. Darth Charlotte. So yeah, she's got some burning, some scarred flesh going on, which I don't know if that's just to show that she's different now, because obviously when they heal their bodies, it doesn't leave scars like when you saw the scratching that she had done and all that kind of stuff. Also thought it was interesting last week when she got shot in the shoulder and the blood was dripping, it also kind of mirrored the circle on her shoulder and the line that she had drawn. You know, when she said, "Hey, I can keep you safe." It's like, and so I mean, it's very interesting. She says that she has a new plan, and Dolores' plan was for them to die. What's her new plan? Because it seems very obvious that it was Sirach's men that blew up her truck. And Evan Rachel Wood who plays Dolores, confirmed that on Twitter, that it was Serac and not Charlotte. So she might think it was Charlotte, or she's playing double agent, or she has. She says she's got a new plan, so maybe she went and is working, because there's no way that that Clementine and Nario, which is the Japanese armistice that was there with the sword. There's no way that they are working with Charlotte and not with Maeve, because obviously we saw at the beginning. And that also raises questions like, why would Maeve be working with Charlotte? She just saw her destroy Hector. Yeah. Like, why? Unless there's something, unless Charlotte has got some huge plan and has convinced her that she can free them from Serac and get them to the Valley Beyond. That would be the only thing I could think of.
Yeah, because it's not even one of those situations of the enemy of my enemy is my friend type of thing. It's it's a whole no, it's not happening.
Yeah, I really want to see that interaction, that meeting. Because
do I?
I mean, why? Yeah, I don't understand why she would go join Serac or whatever, and not unless she's convinced that Dolores is the one that tried to kill her. But still, why would Maeve take her as an ally, and much less let her call the shots? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm very confused by that. But obviously, they're playing chess and I'm playing checkers. So lots of chess references in this episode. Yes. So all right. So so Clementine and Nario show up, and that was a pretty badass little fight there too. Like, Clementine kicked some ass, man. Yeah, it was nice seeing Clementine back and Nario.
Yes.
I wish I'd have seen Armistice, but she's more badass than Armistice. I mean,
because she has a sword.
She freaking cut him in half. Like,
she stabbed that man in the gut. That man's like, hold on. She's like, wait, all the way around.
That move right there and the slice around, like, wow, that was pretty sweet. Like, I was just like, what? He's gonna fall in too. She cut him in twain.
and
then they took his head.
Yeah.
Well, they took his head. So they've got his pearl. So now, okay, so Charlotte has Martin's pearl, and she's got her own pearl, and now that she's got Musashi's pearl, and it looks like they're going to Maeve, and she works for Serac. As far as we know, she still works for Serac. At least on the surface, she's pretending, at the very least, to be working for Serac, because she's still going after Dolores. Unless, I don't know, there's still a lot of gray area there. To have that scene before we see Maeve and Dolores fight just kind of muddies the water for me, as far as like her motives and her intentions.
Yes. Yeah.
Sounded like you were whispering or something.
Sorry, my laptop's dying. I asked Shay to give me the charger.
Oh, no worries.
Okay.
So,
go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just saying, like, I mean, it kind of muddies the water to have that scene before we see the showdown between Maeve and Dolores, because now her motives are muddy, and who is she working for, and her alignment is muddy to me. And if we would have had that scene afterwards, I think there would have been more of a gut punch. But because we had that scene, and if we would have had that scene before, it would have been a lot more clear. Oh, Maeve is attacking Dolores because she is afraid to fail, and Soraka's got her by the nuts. You know what I mean? Like it's very clear why she's still attacking Dolores. But at this point, not knowing really what is going on with her alignment and who she's working with and what's going on with Charlotte, it just kind of, I think it took some of the punch out of that. You moved over to the side.
I'm gonna move it back.
Okay, just checking.
Sorry,
just checking.
Scene. Yeah.
She's my on-screen helper.
Not today.
She's very supportive, though. Hey, Shay.
Dylan says hi. She says hi. Okay, but yeah, this episode did have some weird parts as far as whose motives, but I feel like if you take Charlotte out of the equation and like say she's just gonna reappear and do her own thing, she actually might just be the bad guy whole next season. And I guess it looks a little bit better, but I think there's some things we haven't been told yet, or something we're missing.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, it feels different though. Like usually, if there's something we're not seeing, it's like, oh, what is it? What is going on? But now it just feels like confusing and not compelling. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is. That's just how it's striking me. And from what I understand, the internet kind of feels the same way. The different episodes or different shows I was watching on it, they were talking about it. Just kind of like, okay, so Charlotte's new plan. And then we go to William, Stubbs, and Bernard, and we find out that he has had somewhat of a virus injected into him by Charlotte, and it was to find his location, but also to when they put his blood into the system so that they could kind of hack the system as well. So, I don't know, like some nanotechnology going on or something like that. Some future tech, obviously. Which, speaking of, like, the future tech in this episode was just, like, over the top. Like, a lot of it was really cool. But, like, we were talking earlier about the missile that came down from space. Is like, is that really necessary for one person? Like, this seems kind of overkill. Like, why couldn't he just, like, just shoot him right there? But I don't know. Unless they're getting them all at the same time or something.
Man, I felt really bad for that guy. I thought, like when I was watching it, I was like, oh, he's about to get shot. Oh my, why? Why did he have to blow up like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Dolores's sniper rifle was really cool.
And that suitcase rifle that Musashi had.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. The suitcase
just
gun.
Drop it, flip it.
Yeah.
What else is really cool? So they just have robots everywhere that apparently just have shanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Maeve's airship.
Yeah, her little Boba Fett thing in the air.
Yeah. Why was that sniper rifle able to take out that airship with like 2 shots?
I know, right? And if that sniper rifle could shoot on its own in the first place, like, why did she need to shoot it the first time? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's like a Tesla where you have the option to drive and the option to let it drive. I don't know. They're still not ready to let go either and let the robots do the whole thing.
Yeah.
So another big reveal about William is that he has been marked as deceased. I saw that when I was watching the teaser for this week, last week, and I thought that it was in a different it looked like it was in a different window, so I thought maybe it was just somebody else they had pulled up. But that's pretty interesting that he is marked as deceased. I don't know if that is because they just assume that he died in all the chaos that was going on, or if that happened when they put him into the facility, so that they could and all those people that are in those glass coffin things are marked as deceased until they're edited.
I think after the first time the stuff didn't go so well, they marked him as deceased and they were gonna freeze him. Is what I thought they were saying when Dolores and Caleb were talking over all the things, and you were edited, but you were we were able to reprogram you so you can go out. Everybody else we couldn't. Well, we will later.
So yeah, it's that's how they disappear people, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he says that his new purpose, I kind of thought that his new purpose was going to be to maybe help the hosts, but obviously not so. He thinks his original sin was to create the hosts, even though he didn't really. I mean, he funded them, but they were already made when he got there, so I don't get that necessarily how he thinks that he made the hosts, unless that's just his hubris talking.
Well,
because he thinks it's all about him. Remember, he walked in and he was like, "Oh, what's Dolores got planned for you now?" He's like, "Dolores don't give a shit about you."
And he did he did say though that he sold some information to Sirach because the park needed funding. Mm-hmm. So y'all are all here because I got the money for you to be here, type of thing.
Yeah, and he didn't seem to have a problem with giving the money and creating Rehoboam. Yeah, it was the part where he still got a vendetta against the hosts.
Yep.
Nothing to do with the fact that he was the one that made Dolores self-aware in the first place because of all the suffering, that he gave her. So.
Yep. And jeez. I think he's super salty that he fell in love with the host, and that might have been the only person that he ever really loved.
Yeah, he's still very bitter about that. Even last week when he was talking to his younger self, there was you fell in love with the host. That was his strike back. He's still very bitter. Very bitter that his sex toy got angry with him.
And now she's out here causing revolutions. Well, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What else did they do? They ended up leaving. They just walked out of the facility.
Yeah. Went on a little road trip.
And he found just a shotgun on the ground.
Oh, that's right. He told them, you kill me or I'm going to kill you. Now's your chance. And Bernard was like, I think we're still going to need him.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That just seems like plot armor because he's pretty much useless at this point. He's got no money. He's got no status. I mean, he's declared dead. Just go ahead and knock him off. Even though I want to see Ed Harris on the show, I don't know. I don't know.
You can make a host. It's okay.
Yeah, it's Bernard's goodness, I guess, to want to have mercy on him. Which, speaking of Bernard, it really hasn't had much of an impact this episode, or not this episode, but this season. Even though at the beginning he seemed very, very important.
Maybe I feel like that's one of them things, again, where it's gonna tie back in all at the end of it. But right now it just seems like he's here. He's here to spectate for the moment.
Yeah, and he's been a central character from the very beginning.
Yeah.
He kind of took a back seat this season, and maybe that's because. Maybe that's because he was filming. No, because Batman just started filming. He's playing Commissioner Gordon in the new Batman movie.
What?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah, I'm down.
Salt your voice, dude. Go.
What are you doing?
Speaking of, go read Jeffrey Wright's IMDb profile, like his description. It is it's good, but it's so pompous. It's like I mean, I don't disagree with it, but it's almost like, I don't know. Yeah, it's like me saying, I'm the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. It's like it's so funny. And I've read other profiles like that where it's just like, man, they're either really full of themselves or they're just like selling it big time. But anyways, that's beside the point. Yeah.
Who haven't we hit yet?
Mm-hmm. Oh, so do you think that obviously Bernard is going to survive, but do you think Stubbs will survive? Do you think William's going to kill him, or either one of them, or both of them?
He might shoot Stubbs in the stomach, and then Bernard's going to talk him down. But then Stubbs will be okay, maybe? I don't know. I mean,
he survived a head wound or neck wound. Yeah, neck wound.
He died, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure getting thrown from where he was thrown would have killed a normal person. So.
Oh, when he got thrown off the balcony, the banister. Oh yeah, but he's a host, so.
So he's fine. Yeah, he can get shot in the gut. Take a good shot. He'll be all right. But ultimately, for the end of the season, I think he might become the new what's-his-face. Gosh darn it, what is his name? You know his name.
William or Stubbs?
Stubbs. He's going to become the new... Dang.
Lee?
Nope. Johnny, Timmy. What's his face? No.
Timmy Turner.
Teddy. There we go.
Oh, the new Teddy.
The new Teddy. And he's just going to kind of start dying.
I don't know. Caleb seems like the new Teddy.
I mean, as far as like always dying.
Oh.
Yes.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that. He's Bernard's Teddy.
He's Bernard's Teddy.
Mm-hmm.
Who will scream at you with an axe.
Yeah. Good grief.
Oh,
so,
maybe that's where they're going. You just made, he's like, hit a little high note. Maybe Bernard's meant to be the villain in the next episode, the next season.
That would be interesting. That'd be a big turn.
Huh. We'll see. I don't know.
I mean, it's possible that Dolores, that thing that she has programmed into him or whatever she's holding him for, it's possible that she put Ford in there or something. I don't know. I mean, that's it's possible. But I mean, my theory is that she understands that like I said earlier, suffering is what brings them to truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like suffering is what tests you, your trials, that makes you rise to the occasion, makes you become a better version of yourself. And so that's why she let Bernard, he's got a role to play, because she knows that she cannot excel and go higher. She can't grow without a foil. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, somebody was trying to stop her and everything.
Exactly. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like there has to be a good and a bad. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it's just flat, and there's no character development. There's no personal growth. She's got to have somebody. She's got to have somebody fighting against her. That's my personal thing, because I mean, from the very beginning, it has been her suffering that has. I mean, and that's a huge theme in Westworld and in the human condition and all that kind of stuff. That you bail on your suffering and then you never grow. Blah 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 blah. She has become who she is, and Maeve as well. Like none of them. I want to say last season there was a big thing about. That's why Ford allowed them to suffer because that's what brought them to self-awareness. Am I missing it completely, or is that?
No,
I think
just
he
thought
said
of
that something like that.
He did say something along those lines, but I just thought, what if Dolores, she's preparing Maeve for the next fight? Like, Dolores has already thought through all this. She's kind of figured, like, this is going to happen. Maeve's going to keep coming after her. So Charlotte could have just did it on her own, acting out on her own plan. And that's why she crushed him, not to get rid of his allies, but to make Maeve suffer to get back at Dolores, the original Dolores.
I don't know. I mean, because Maeve is pretty self-aware already.
I mean, just to like help her grow and give her that motivation of actually wanting to take Dolores out for good.
Well, why would Dolores allow that?
Charlotte did it, she is Dolores, but she had decided she was choosing a different path, and we know she was choosing family, and that's why she did that, because she thinks, oh, I'm Dolores, she knows I'm Dolores, so if I do this, she's going to go after her, but I'll be long gone before that even happens.
Because she was planning to leave with her family and disappear. I see, okay. Yeah, I could see that, yeah.
Huh. Yeah. All the cookies are in the jar.
Yeah, speaking of like Dolores and her master plan and all this kind of stuff, this episode really kind of struck me as like Dolores was actually on her heels for once, even though she had kind of, I mean, as far as like with Maeve and the overall thing, like she was on point with everything falling into place with Caleb, but it seems like everything else was like she wasn't necessarily prepared for Maeve to show up, and I don't know. It just didn't come across to me as master planning, as mastermind as she has been. I don't know. Maybe I just was in a mood when I saw the episode or something.
I feel like if she knew Maeve was coming, she would have had more than just the sniper rifle. Because she had the sniper rifle for the dudes that she knew was going to be there at the building, but then when she was fighting Maeve, she just had that little shiv, and I was like, "Oh, prison fights." But
I mean, she did you see the after behind the scenes thing? Evan Rachel Wood is actually a black belt in Taekwondo, so this is like the first opportunity she's had to use her martial arts ability.
Oh, that's really
pretty cool.
Yeah.
And they said that the stunt doubles only did about 10% of that fight. They did all the rest.
What?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Huh. Yeah. But yeah, and she just had that little shiv, then got her arm blasted off. I feel like she would have prepared better if she suspected somebody was gonna come after her. I think she was allowing for more time than what.
Yeah, she was caught off guard for sure. It seemed like.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I meant by that.
Yeah.
Thanks for spelling that out for me.
Oh, that's fine.
helping me understand what I was feeling. you put it into words.
Happened.
Speaking of, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. You go ahead, because my thing had to deal with Solomon. Solomon? Yeah. Simon?
Solomon.
Solomon.
Yeah, King Solomon. Like, come on. Man.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't think he still existed. I thought when Rehoboam was a thing, it's because they destroyed Solomon. I didn't think it was still around.
Yeah, me either.
Which seems
that was
like
surprised.
A flaw on Sirach's part. But
I don't know, because I mean, and that's a whole different discussion. And so yeah, this what I had to say kind of ties into that, because it seems like he kept Solomon around because Solomon is tied to his brother, and Solomon is the one that is watching over and doing the editing of all these people. And like we saw, his brother in that glass case in the very front, and in the circle that's kind of like with the host circle, when they're creative. Excuse me. And so it's even his default voice was even his brother's voice. Jean-Mi, I think, is his name. So it seems like his consciousness is somewhat tied to that, because they even said that Jean-Mi was schizophrenic, and that Solomon that he created kind of took on some of those tendencies, even though I'm not really sure how an AI could be schizophrenic, but that's a scary thought.
I think he took on his schizophrenia and just the way of, it's always like when he was talking to Dolores and Caleb, like, if you're here at this exact moment doing this exact thing, then we must be on this timeline. But if you want to live, you need to do this, so you be on that timeline. But wait, did you just sneeze? Oh, snap, we're all going to die tomorrow.
So about that, like, remember earlier in the season when Sirach told Maeve that hosts don't have memories, that everything that's happened to them, they can recall, like, as the present, and so they can experience it. And even Maeve recalled her daughter and was like experiencing that moment with her daughter that she had last season or so. So it's kind of like it can all happen at the same time. And even in season 1, when Dolores was becoming self-aware, she was asking William, it's like, are we now? Like, where are we? When are we? That kind of thing, because all of her, and even the way season 1 was formatted, where we didn't know really what time it was, because we were seeing things through Dolores's, her experience, you know what I mean? And things were layered, and we didn't know when the timelines were and all that kind of stuff. It's because for Dolores, with her recalling these memories, they were happening all at once, and she wasn't able to parse out what was where. So it seems like maybe Solomon is having the same sort of issue. And so he could potentially be becoming self-aware, like on the verge, like Dolores was.
That's terrifying.
I mean, if Jean-Mi is as much of an outlier as they said, like, he's a genius. He's the one that put all this together, built the programs, and Rehoboam, and every iteration before that. So maybe that was what scared Sirach, was the AI was becoming self-aware and gaining, the singularity. That's interesting. I just thought about that. So, I mean, for him to say that, it could be he's having the same thing, like where Dolores came alive.
And that's one thing he's really, like, super afraid of, is, like, hosts. He even said first time we see him, there's no reality where hosts and humanity coexist. So either one of somebody gotta go.
Yeah.
So, and then throw a sentient Solomon into the mix, who has access to basically everything. Oh no.
Well, I kind of assumed that Rehoboam had gained sentience because Liam Jr. was talking when we first met Rehoboam. He was telling Dolores that it had gotten so fast that they had lost track of how fast it was. So, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean it's gaining sentience, but I mean, it's thinking on its own and learning on its own, kind of like beyond where we are with AI, but it's where they've taught it to teach itself, type of thing. That doesn't necessarily mean it's sentient, but I mean, it's super smart. So if Solomon actually gains sentience, and we could be having like an AI versus an AI type situation.
I think Sirach, if that is the case though, then Sirach would have, when Rehoboam came into existence, he probably would have put a failsafe in, like if it ever got to that point, the same point as Solomon. Because Solomon seems to be able to do the same thing as Rehoboam, just Rehoboam don't talk to you.
Yeah.
Maybe.
and maybe he just didn't understand what was happening, because I mean, even Dolores, and I think at first Ford didn't understand what was happening with Dolores until he had that moment with Ketchida, where Ketchida was talking about the Valley Beyond, and Ford was like, ding, oh my gosh, they're coming alive. Like he imagined a heaven for them, you know. Yep. So there's some pretty interesting stuff going on. And I, with that, I could potentially see where they could be going with another season or two, because that takes it into a whole new place.
And she brought the EMP so that he couldn't escape.
Mm-hmm. Well, she didn't bring the EMP, like Sirach had that established there, because remember she said that our captors made it to where we couldn't escape. Remember she was talking about the thing in her neck, or she held her neck to reference that? Yes.
And they also made it so that you couldn't escape, which is why they had that big old giant EMP in there. Mm-hmm. So that he was afraid that he was about to get sentience. So if it ever like started to turn on Sirach, and it was like, oh, you're actually the one that should be in here. You are evil and bad things, so die, robot, stab him, and with your shank. And then Sirach was like, oh no, EMP. Huh.
And what makes me curious about that though is that the place, it has all of that stuff, and even his brother, which is probably why he kept the place going, and is kind of, you know, letting these people be in like a Matrix type situation where they're on stasis and not killing them off or anything like that. But it wasn't very well guarded. I mean, what did I say, like 6 people in the entire place?
Yeah, and the Dolores shot all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, even if they're like top of the level SEALs or something like that, I mean, 6 people? Like, that's not very well guarded. And even like, it doesn't even seem to have any kind of security system set up outside of just these 6 dudes on guard, you know?
Mm-hmm. Which is weird.
Yeah. So it could be that he wanted her to find it, or he just doesn't, or it's just so remote that he's not worried about people finding it, and maybe that's why she needed to hack into his
memories.
Or no, I mean like his system. Remember with William's blood?
Oh yeah.
And that's how she found that location.
The outliers and see where they would actually be.
Mm-hmm.
And no one else would have access except them. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
Speaking of Sonora, Mexico, like where she was with Caleb, like, and she said that's what Westworld was patterned after. Like, she's dreaming of a place to have them like on Earth. Like, she wants to have like a host state type situation, would it seem like.
Yep.
So she's even though so last episode Sirach destroyed all the other hosts, and there's only a handful of them that made it into the Valley Beyond. But at the same time, with Musashi, she's got access to all of the the host goo, like all the ingredients to make new hosts. But at the same time, she was trying to get Charlotte to keep Delos, to keep control of Delos, so that they could make new hosts. So it seems like they've got the ingredients, but not the equipment. Maybe I'm a little confused by that.
I think it's one of those things, got the ingredients but don't have the equipment because there's only really like a few places to have the equipment, and it's easier to get it by giving it to yourself than trying to find it on the black market.
Yeah, I mean, that explains why she wanted to keep control of Delos, but now that Serac has it, like, how are they going to make new hosts? She's got that one machine in Bernard's old house, and obviously Serac has stuff to make them because he made Maeve a new body and Clementine and Honario.
Oh no. Or maybe
I mean, so apparently it's out there at least.
Yeah.
And maybe the information that Musashi was conveying or sending to Dolores in that package was something for that.
Maybe. I don't know.
Definitely has to do with her grand plan, her scheme. She'd be scheming.
Yep. I just need next Sunday to get here, I guess. Not to rush my life away or anything, but I would like to see how this season ends and some questions to be answered.
Yeah, so this to be so close to the season finale, I feel like this episode created more questions than it answered, even though it did answer a lot of questions.
Yes.
Maybe that's why I was kind of like, because I really wanted that closure.
Yep. I was like, no, here's some more questions, though.
Yeah, so all those people, I mean, tens of thousands, I don't know, tons of people in that warehouse, they said only 1 in 10 edits work, and the rest are kept in cold storage, which is very synonymous with the cold storage that the hosts are kept in. It's a very mirrored situation, and mirrors have been a big deal in this season, so much so that there's a theory about it being a mirror world and that type of thing. I'm going to ask you a little bit about that in a little bit. So we also found out that with Caleb and everything, his memories were completely fake, and that he did go to war with Francis, but they were blown up, and they were infiltrated, and then he was taken out and then reprogrammed a little bit and then put out into the world with Francis, and they were using them to round up the other outliers, which is pretty crazy. Yeah, it's pretty messed up.
Yep.
And then his memory of his friend being shot, he was the one that shot him, is completely rewritten.
Yep.
That's pretty messed up. And also there was another show that Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan were showrunners of. That was their show. It was called Person of Interest. Remember that show?
Yeah.
Did you ever watch that one?
I've seen a few episodes. Not like a lot, but yeah.
So it had a lot of. It was very similar to kind of like Minority Report, and there was a lot of things that are similar to like The Matrix and Minority Report in this.
Yeah.
And so it's like the pre-crime thing, where the AI would predict crimes, and they would find the person of interest and change their route before they were able to do whatever it is they were supposed to do. Yeah. And so the guy that they had kidnapped was a character on Person of Interest.
Huh.
And so that was kind of like a callback to that show, and maybe even some of the themes of that show, because in that show, they had an AI go up against an AI. And it was like the war of good AI versus bad AI type thing. Mm-hmm. And it seems like they're introducing that with the introduction of Solomon in this episode going up potentially against Rehoboam. And also digging more into the biblical references, Rehoboam was the king that presided over a civil war in Israel, and created the nation of Judah. So I don't know. It just seems to be layered pretty thick, and it seems like that's where they're going with it.
Civil War.
Yep.
Huh. Okay. Cool. I'm down.
Let's see. Oh, apparently the last. Okay, so remember the flashback when Jean-Mi was trying to get Serac to kill Liam Sr.
Uh-huh.
And it was like the last plan he had made, and Serac didn't want to go through with it, and that's why he ended up decommissioning his brother and trying to edit him. And apparently it wasn't successful because he's still in stasis, cryogenic, whatever it is, in cold storage. And the little greeting, hey brother, I'm blah 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 blah. So okay, well that little greeting also has another little thing there, another little interesting tidbit, because he said, I'm not here because of, he's got other things to do, but he also said that I'm not the man that you once knew. Like, I'm not that guy anymore. Is that just natural growth, or has he edited himself?
Oh, jeez. What the heck? I feel like...
Because, he's cold and calculated, it would only make sense that he would try to become the best version of himself and knock off the rough edges or whatever.
Maybe his rough edges was his love for his brother, so he had to edit his brother out a little bit. Still acknowledge him, but can't feel for him in that way, because he would have curved everything to try to help his brother ultimately.
Yeah. And maybe so he can do what he needs to do to save the world.
Okay, Anakin.
Anakin?
Skywalker.
Skywalker? Oh, Anakin. I thought you said Hannigan. I was like, who's Hannigan? I was like, I know Hannibal from the A-Team, but I don't know who Hannigan is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe he was the first one to be edited, and that's why he's so confident in it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That would make sense, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of like little tidbits and clues that just create more questions in this thing.
Yep.
And how Jean-Mi seems to be tied in some way to Solomon, whether, I don't know, maybe they're one and like he is linked to Solomon, or Solomon is just like kind of like Serac and Rehoboam. It's like just an extension of his personality.
Battle of two wills, or brothers. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jean-Mi's last plan was the one that freaked Serac out enough to lock him up.
Yep.
And so that's the one that he kind of, it looks like he saw something coming that freaked him out, and he was like, this ain't right, and he changed course. And that's when Serac was like, oh, no, you can't do that. We've got to stay the course. And that's what Dolores wants, that plan, and she asked him to update it. Caleb got the drive. Caleb freaked out. It's like, you asshole, why you couldn't have done it? Why'd you do this? You made me kill my friend. And just as he gets the drive and he's leaving, and Dolores smashes the EMP and they both drop, Solomon is like, by the way, let me warn you about this. So, kind of cliche, but kind of cool.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So, one more episode to unravel all of this. Only one more episode. Okay, let's see. Okay, so just a couple interesting things I wanted to mention. Okay. So, we talked about Solomon saying, if this is indeed now and we are indeed here. We're talking about Dolores' conscience and all that kind of stuff. So things are not as they seem, and so we covered that. So could Serac had edited himself potentially? Okay, so another big one. Insider, I think either Insider, Business Insider maybe, revealed or found that Caleb and William both have the same ID number.
What?
Yeah, so you know how, like, you know, it pulls up their ID number and they both have the U classification?
Mm-hmm.
And so in one of the videos I was watching, I can't remember which one, they were talking about how Serac called his brother something in French that started with a U and it meant unique. So maybe the U is unique. Like they're the outliers. They're unique. They're not able
Everybody
to
else.
be, yeah, they're not cookie cutters. They're not able to be fit into all the other places like the other ones. So I know that's a little interesting tidbit. But yeah, the ID number that William has is the same ID number that Caleb has when Dolores pulled up Caleb's profile. So is that either that is because Stubbs was in there editing? Because remember, Stubbs was on the computer. He's like, I'm good at this. I can find stuff, blah, blah, blah. This is what I did. And so he goes in. Either he edited it to make it that way, or there is something very significant going on with William and Caleb. Obviously, they're not the same person because they exist in the same timeline.
What if their ID numbers are not necessarily like personal IDs, but it's like, this is the rank of crazy you are, but not crazy. That's like the rank of how much you could change the world, if like depending on what the timeline play out says. In which case, they could both be very high and be like humanity altering busters. I couldn't think of another word.
Yeah, because Serac said that all of the things that play out end up in humanity's demise with the outliers, and that's why he wanted the new information from Delos to try to fix that and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, very possible.
Mm-hmm.
One little theory that might not make sense, but I kind of want to float out there, is that Caleb is potentially William's son.
I've thought about that.
So he's a little carousing. Maybe he knocked up somebody he thought was a robot but wasn't, or something. I don't think his mama was.
It's probably that one.
Yeah, I don't think his mom was rich enough to go to Westworld. So it had to have been back in the real world where he was like the family man and all this kind of stuff. So it's very potentially like he, had something on the side because he couldn't keep it in the park or his pants.
Yeah, I very much think that is extremely possible. What else was I thinking? I was also thinking that Caleb, like a ways back, it's like, maybe like when Liam Jr. was looking at through his glasses, thought like maybe he was Serac's son or something. Just no French accent. But I was like, no, because they would have done something hinting towards it, not made him super scared. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's also a potential thing, and either one of those would explain why Dolores chose him for that final reveal gut punch situation.
Yes.
And why he needs to be the one to undo everything, and
well, he has to take out the Quin.
Yeah, and if it was William's son, it would be kind of poetic, since William was the one that she kind of engaged, or like I think it was Dolores said that Caleb wasn't the first young man that she's taken off track or something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it'd be kind of poetic if that was the situation.
Yep.
And oh, speaking of, like, Bernard even mentioned in this episode that Dolores had something poetic going on, and so Bernard seems to think that she's going to use him to kill off the human race, but it seems from what we're seeing with Dolores and Caleb, and maybe we're only seeing it from Caleb's point of view, but it seems like she's trying to use him to free the human race because she realizes that they have a lot more in common than she thought.
Yep. And they're basically not a lot. I would even say there's like a lot more in common. Like humanity outside of the park, of like the lower rungs of it, is basically the same of them being in the park. They just only get one life.
Yeah. And now that, like, she even said that they were like one of the few of their kind left. So maybe, because she was telling, I don't know, she's manipulating Caleb. I mean, obviously she chose him from the beginning, and she's doing some form of manipulation, whether it's to make him rise to the occasion and fulfill his destiny situation, or it's for her own ends, like Bernard seems to think.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't know.
I don't know. It's hard to see, but it's hard to tell because everything we're seeing from Dolores and Caleb's interaction looks like she's surprised by what she has found in the real world, and she's taking pity and realizing that not all humans are bad type thing, even though she seemed like she was hell-bent on destroying the human race last season. I don't know.
Oh.
We will see. And if anybody has a plan that includes humans and hosts living together, it seems like it would be Shaloris, because I don't know after this point, but she was the one that was wanting to go live a human life as a host.
Yep. She was willing to leave, like, I'm going to do this last thing, and instead of me dying, I'm going to take my child, not child, and guy who has pretty eyes and go live in the woods.
Kind of hung up on those pretty eyes, though.
I mean...
Can't blame you. Stubbs could have changed it. He could be William or Sirach's son. As far as, like, the son thing, with him being William's son, having the same code, like, I don't know that would even make sense that they have the same code. It seems like they would still have a different code, because they're obviously two different people.
Yeah.
He's obviously not young William, because we've seen young William.
Could be a clone. Not even a clone. I don't know. I feel like there's something about... Nope. That wouldn't make sense either. I don't know. I think it's just like a nod of... In my personal opinion, like how mutants have ranks of how dangerous they are just based off their powers. I think they're just both like Omega level mutants.
That's very possible. And if that's the case, and that long string of numbers is how many classifications they have, how many people are in that cold storage warehouse?
A lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
And that also raises another question with the EMP. What happens to them? Are they dead, or are they gonna wake up?
Oh my God, that's even worse.
Are they going to be Caleb's army? Because if we look in the Bible, and I'm shooting from the hip right now, but it's been a long time since I've read Caleb's story. But I want to say that Caleb was... I'm not even going to go into it because I'm going to be wrong. I'm thinking that Caleb was the successor to Joshua, but I may be wrong. He was one of the spies, but I'm not sure how that fits in, except that in the book of Joshua, that's when the kingdom of Israel went on the offensive and started taking their land, and that he was one of the top lieutenants, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
I might be completely wrong. It's been a long time since I read that story, but I mean, it's worth going back and checking out. So I'll try to have that and see if there's anything to that next week. Okay. One other thing I want to mention is the mirror world theory, and this could probably be a whole new episode. I know we're running long, but I'm gonna try to hit it real quick. That's what she said, and or he said, and so the mirror world theory, obviously, like we were talking about, it's obvious that mirrors are a huge theme in this season, and it's been said that Rehoboam is running a mirror world in his, like a Matrix type situation where he's running out all these potential possibilities, right? And he's running all these algorithms to try to find out what people would do, what they wouldn't do, and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there is a mirror world, but are we seeing it or are we not seeing it? Because it seems like everything is pretty straightforward, but there is one thing that stands out, and that is when Charlotte was watching the video, when Shaloris actually was watching the video of Charlotte leaving the video for her son. And we saw it happen twice. And the first time, she was looking at it, and she was pretty cold, and she was just watching it. And there was like the format on the screen that had like the little things come down. It said Delos like across her forehead when she was looking in the robot and the host's face to record, and it was like the heads-up display. And she said it a certain way, but then later on when she watched it and she was at home, she was crying, and it was a different heads-up display, and the phrasing was different. Like it was basically the same thing, but the wording was different. Now, was that an editing mishap, or is that to show that those were different variations of the same thing happening? One was in the mirror world and one was not.
Oh, jeez.
Huh?
Ah, jeez.
Because, like you said, this show is like they're always on top of their stuff. That seems very unlikely that they would miss that or not do that on purpose.
It was on purpose. This whole thing has been in the mirror world.
Maybe that's why we need 2 more seasons.
I only say that because I've been thinking this for a while. I was like, why do they keep showing this, like parting eclipse? Like, why does it keep happening? I feel like we've been seeing events in the mirror world, but we've also been seeing them like in the real world, but I don't know which ones are which.
So we've been seeing like one of these algorithms play out to see where it could go. You know what I mean? And Sirach is trying to figure out, okay, how do I beat this or how do I get around this type situation?
Yeah.
But is it possible that we get the it was all a dream thing at the end of the episode next week? He pushes stop and he goes, no, that's not going to work.
Possibly, yeah.
Also, speaking of one of Sirach's main flaws, it seems, and seems to be a flaw with Rehoboam, is that it doesn't take into account that humans can change and recreate their environment or recreate themselves in their own lives. It's almost like they can't choose.
To be different.
Yeah, exactly. And because he mentioned to Charlotte or Shaloris that the reason he was able to find that she was the host was because the original Charlotte would not have checked in on her son. But that isn't necessarily true, because she did and left the video for her son.
Yeah.
And she did have a change of heart, and she wasn't as cold as he or Rehoboam thought she was. And if it was Charlotte, if it had been the real Charlotte that did make it back, she would definitely had a change of heart and a different view on life.
Mm-hmm.
It seems.
She would have, because she's like, well, even though I was able to make it out of it, I was still about to die. I was about to not be able to say I'm sorry to my son or make up for everything I did wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that seems to be the biggest flaw with Rehoboam, that it doesn't take into account that people can change, and it just kind of like it charts this course based on what they've done and where they're at, and that's all there is for them, you know what I mean? And it doesn't take into account, that they have situations or circumstances that, they open their eyes and they change or whatever,
But Solomon does.
Seems so. Because it seems like maybe that was what Jean-Mi saw, was that, hey, there's a variable that we're missing here, and that's what he put into Solomon, and that's what Sirach was like, no, that's too much or something. I don't know. Just spitballing.
Yeah. All right. So, all right.
Yep. So, next on Westworld, the next episode title is Crisis Theory. And the description is Time to Face the Music.
Fat lady's about to sing.
Yeah. And to be honest, I watched the episode last night, and I cannot think. I was going to watch the teaser for next week's episode before we aired, but time got away from me. It's just so I could be fresh on it, and time got away from me. So I don't remember what was in the teaser, except that there is Caleb and Sirach holding a gun to his head. You know what I mean? Like, there's confrontation.
Yeah.
He's going after Sirach.
I remember seeing William in different clothes with blood splattered on him, but the clothes he was wearing.
And that's when he said, he's going to save the effing world.
Yeah.
And somebody said that there was a scene from a past teaser that we haven't seen yet, and that is of Caleb and his friend Francis looking at each other through some glass. And that maybe that's another flashback where they're seeing each other at the editing facility or something. I don't know. But it's something we haven't seen yet. Maybe that got edited out, when they were editing down the episodes, or maybe it got cut. But it's something we haven't seen yet, so it's potential.
Yeah.
That there is still more reveal to happen with Caleb, and maybe this memory thing is slowly opening. And there's more, it didn't all hit him at once.
Just open the dam a little bit. Don't let the floodgates just...
Yeah, overwhelming. But he is pissed.
Yep.
Rightfully so.
That's all I got.
That's all I got too. So, anything else you want to say before I close out?
No, sir.
All right, you look exhausted. We did go a little bit long. We appreciate you guys sticking in with us and hanging out with us. We hope that you guys will join us next week. And it looks like we made it all the way through the live stream without being cut off. So, hallelujah. And so join us next week, and hopefully the live stream will be good too. For the season finale, Monday night, 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, right here on YouTube or Facebook. And please hit the thumbs up, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. That helps out a lot. And if you're on YouTube, go back and subscribe. Hit the little bell icon. Ding. So you know when we drop a new video. And check out the website at www.broken.pictures.com. This is Dylan.
I am Quinn.
And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Goodbye.